Hello guys, NautoAis here, and this will be another Lost Thoughts on Atlus and Spike Chunsoft on censorship. So this particular video was recorded, if I remember, in 2018 where Persona 5, Catherine was ported to the latest console, PS4. There were a lot of controversy, especially when it comes to censorship. That in the case with Catherine, there was something about gender. Of course, in the case with Atlus, they kind of toned down the story about a guy who likes another guy. I know it's kind of weird, but this is a long time ago. So with that, here it is. My thoughts on, again, censorship in 2018 with Atlus and Spike Chunsoft. And this is going to be some sort of my thoughts on a bit of a censorship situation. Yes, again, censorship. Oh boy, the dumbest topic for some people. It is what it is. And I don't believe in censorship because it goes political. It's a dictatorship to the company telling what's right for the consumer. I mean, that's the reason why the ESRB exists, but that's a different story there. So first of all, I want to do a response to Dark Titan Enterprises, aka Dark Vera, on Granblue Fantasy Versus. And yeah, apparently the costume wise, I mean, it's a bit modified, but yes, according to Arc System Work and to Side Games, yeah, they had to modify some of the costumes, especially for Metra and Zeta, because in the original artwork, yeah, they're more, let's just say, fan services. Let's going to say something nice. Let's keep the word. I'm going to use the word fan servicey. So I'm going to use that word than, the other ones to make it kid friendly, if that makes sense. Anyway, so a lot of people were complaining about that. I mean, for me, yeah, I don't like censorship, but when it's just a minor change, like in the costume, I mean, I don't think really it's not that a big deal because I've seen a lot of costumes just being modified a bit. But I know the original idea is supposed to be that they are supposed to be that fan servicey, but sometimes, just it kind of makes more sense. I mean, like, I know a lot of people were concerned with Tifa. She has like a sports bra now. I guess in the previous one, of course, she doesn't. And the way I just see it is just more vibrant color, just more pattern, more colorful in my opinion, but that's just me. She still had that miniskirt. You can see her stomach still, so there you go. Like, that's just my opinion there. But anyway, so some people did complain about it. And yet, like I said, the company did confirm. And the reason why they did that was, I agree for one thing, but I don't agree with the other one. First, the one I don't agree, the Western market. To some extent, I don't agree with that because there are some people in the West, or heck, outside of Japan, who like fan service stuff. They like the anime. And there are some. This is not a minor thing, including myself. I like anime. I like fan service stuff because I know I'm a guy. Or I know already there. Oh, that's bias. What can I do? I mean, I'm a guy. I like fan service stuff. That's the reason why sometimes I like Idea Factory Game because, they're fan servicey, but it works because of comedic way. And they're saying that they were concerned because there'll be people who are going to complain about it. Of course, they probably are addressing the righteous wannabe. I'm not going to say the real name, but you know what I mean. I bet you they came from a vile website. Again, you probably know what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to mention the name also because I don't want to give them more props or more exposure than they should have. Other people already been doing that. And that one I don't really agree. Because there are some people outside of Japan who don't mind fan service. They don't mind the anime. Because if it works, if it makes sense, they're cool. And some of them are female, okay? Some of them are female. They have no problem. There even some said, quit getting offensive just because a fictional character is quote-unquote fan servicey. So I don't agree with that one. However, I do agree on the part of esports, whether I like it or not. I kind of make sense of why the consideration when it comes to esports. Good example was at EVO 2016 when Street Fighter V finally debuted. And believe it or not, it was also televised at ESPN. All right, so the sports channel, whatever. Is it for everyone? Well, yeah, people who like sports from all ages, including video game esports. With that, that's sort of in cable, anybody can watch it. And what happened was, and I did talk about this a long time ago, Fudo and Infiltration were in the grand finals. Fudo chose, Armika chose her default costume. And then what happened was, after the next round, he was told, and then apparently somebody from Evo was told Fudo to, hey, can you change the costume? Because apparently ESPN people, let's just call them that, said that that costume is unacceptable to show on ESPN. You know, that's why a lot of people had a meme called ESPN friendly, is because they were concerned that, oh, you can see Armika's buttocks. Yes, her default costume for Strange Reason design, she's wearing, well, to some extent a G-string in her outfit that you can see her buttocks. Same goes with Cammy. Why? I don't know. I don't know whose idea was it. It's kind of really weird because, to some extent, just like Mortal Kombat, again, to some extent, I don't really consider it a fan service game. I mean, by default. I mean, costume-wise is different, but default costume, I mean, interesting there. But yeah, so, and then remember, ESPN is owned by, well, Disney. The House of Mouse, I think that's what they call it. Whatever. So in the case with esport, that kind of makes sense, especially whether you like it or not, it does make money. So at least Cygames decided to give people option, which is a good thing. Phil Spencer, the guy in charge of Xbox Gaming, Microsoft Gaming, said options are good. So at least there's option there that you gotta earn it if you want the original costume. And Sony, Xseed Games, I'm gonna say something. You better not remove this on the US version. That's gonna be stupid. It's already have an option there so people can choose it whether they want to use it or not. Of course, I want to use it, but at least the option is there. And I wish, you know, at least there's option to other games when Sony censors stuff, but, you know, whatever. That's a different story there. So, yeah, that was a response to Dark Titan Enterprises about it. In the case of foreign market, I call bullshit because I'm in America and I'm a guy. I like my bouncy boobies and my ass. I'm sorry, because I'm a guy. Live with it. But in the case with the esports, makes sense. At least they're making an option. Now, another bit of a controversy, but to me, believe it or not, and I hate censorship too, believe me, land. I don't like censorship. Hashtag grow up Sony. Hashtag grow up Sony. However, I think there's a lot of more than meets the eye with this situation. What am I talking about this time? Persona 5 Royal. In some part of the game, they're gonna change the dialogue or the text. And a lot of people say, oh my gosh, it's censorship already. And the one major one that Atlus say they're going to change is the part when, two gay guys, I don't know how to say it nicely, but two gay guys trying to interact with Ryuji, one of the members of the Phantom Thieves. And yes, I saw the original, I played the original, I'm that far in Persona 5, the original one. Okay, so I don't remember what the text is, but apparently some people said they were offended. Problem with the situation is that, once again, a lot of people claim, and I kind of believe them, that it came from a stupid website with a bunch of stupid people called The Righteous Wannabe. I'm not going to call what they are, but if you know the website I'm talking about, this polluted forum, then you know what I'm talking about there. If not, I would suggest to go to Yellow Flash YouTube. He talks about them because they're a bunch of horseshit. Yep. So moving on from that that's when the complaint came from. And the minute you hear the particular people from the particular disgusting, gross website, then you know what I'm going to be talking about. So what happened is that the localization team and, of course, somebody from the Atlus community manager, they stated that there might be some changes on the script when it comes to Persona 5 Royal. Of course, a lot of people said, it's censorship. And in the case with the two guys in Ryuji, according to the community manager, she said that they're going to make it less offensive about being gay. Okay, I don't know what that means, but apparently, again, it could be just people from that disgusting website, but according to her, there are some people who complain about it. I mean, dude, people, as what Ninja said, it's just a game, right? Right, Ninja? Okay, whatever. But the bottom line is, some people are offended with that. I mean, you get offended with a video game, then just don't play it. Whatever, I don't care. But then, so they're going to change it. So a lot of people say, oh, it's censorship. Oh, this is BS. I'm not going to buy the game anymore. Yeah, the problem with that is so far as of right now, there have been a lot of censorship in their game, or trying to please the non-gamer fan in order maybe to protect their reputation, to make more sale, who knows. You know, kind of like what Sony's doing. The reason with the content policy rule, to protect their image, because I hear people probably say, when you think about Sony games, you think about anime fan servicey, which, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, people always think, oh no, it's censorship. And I know there's a game called Utaware Rumono. I don't know which one it is, because I don't really follow that franchise. There's an image of, let's just say, a caretaker spanking a kid with her butt exposed. And of course, in the American version, they had to alter it. Again, censorship, I kind say it is censorship, but it also makes sense what they said it, because they said it, well, you know, in America, and believe it or not, you know, abuse is not a good thing. And spanking a little girl's butt, especially if they're exposed, I mean, that's not going to fly in America. I mean, whether you like it or not, because, you know, discipline is different from different country, believe me. But again, in that aspect, I can understand, but I don't really agree, because you kind of like saying that we don't accept the Japanese culture. So I don't agree with that one. And of course, in the case with Catherine Full Body, one of the character, the censorship there, yeah, there was minor censorship, but they still intact the character's concept, which is they didn't change her premise about that character, but the wording, they were just trying to be careful. It's a compromise, but again, it shouldn't have, but whatever. We're in an age of people are very sensitive and weak, whatever. So when it comes to Persona 5, like I said, apparently some people didn't like how the two guys represent, again, to Ryuji. So they're going to make it less offensive. So it might think there is, okay, is it really censorship? Maybe to some degree, yes, but I'm also seeing it could be, again, you know, just don't get me wrong. I mean, censorship is bad, but it might be just improve the wording. Let's just say improve the script. And the reason why I said that is a good example I can say they kind of done this is the Neptunia series. And here's the gist of it. It's the Neptunia series for the PlayStation 3. There are 3 of them. And then on the Vita, it's also on Steam. There's also called the Rebirth series, which are, believe it or not, a remake of the original. And I'm going to focus on the second one because I played both versions. I have not played Rebirth 3 yet for whatever reason. And I'm an Idea Factory fan. I don't know what's wrong with me. But I played the original Hyper Dimension Neptunia Mark II for the PS3. And then I also played Rebirth 2 on the Vita. And yeah, there's a lot of script that were changed that for more, the better, as I say. Makes more sense, makes more fluent, makes flow more. I think that's probably what they're trying to do with Persona 5 Royal. That it wasn't so much of censorship. To some extent, I think it's still censorship. But I think they're just trying to make the flow better for people to understand. And, you know, like, it makes more sense. That's it. I think the problem what happened here is when they said, oh, we have to fix the situation, I think it was poorly wording. If the localization team and the community manager said, oh, we're going to improve the script, the text, the language, the script, let's just go with that, to improve it makes more sense, then I can understand more about it. But no, they kind of said, the way they said it was, hey, look, you know, we're going to change it because these two guys are offensive or something's offensive, somebody's offended, blah, 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 blah. We're going to fix it so it'll be less offensive. But if they just said, hey, look, you know what? We're just going to improve the script just to make more sense, to be more fluent, to be more like, oh, it makes more sense. I can understand that. I mean, that's just my opinion about it. But is it still censorship to some extent? Yes, it is. So, kind of sucky there. But again, it's up to you. Persona 5 is good. Persona 5 Royal. It's supposed to be an improved version. Yeah, $60 kind of suck. I would probably recommend waiting. It goes down because, hey, when I bought Persona 5, I got it for $15, and that was like a year later. So they'll go down fast. I mean, I have a feeling they will because since it's a non-new game, it has new improvements, it'll probably go $20. Remember, Persona 4 Golden did end up going $20 right now. So I'm just saying there. The censorship, yeah, it's bad. I don't agree with it. But I think to some extent, I think they're just trying to say that they're trying to improve the script, the text, that's it, just to make more sense. Yeah, so those are my two thoughts on a bit of the censorship situation. Granblue Fantasy, at least they're giving you option with the costume. Persona 5 Royal, they probably didn't have to do it, but they were fearing maybe it might not sell. Of course, it's not going to sell because when censorship goes in play, that's a problem. But in my opinion, I think it's just more of trying to improve the text, and that's it. So before I close my thoughts on the Persona 5 The Royal controversy is that for every non-new game being re-released, I mean, to some extent, if you've been noticing, there have been a lot of dialogue being changed for improvement. Was it really considered improvement when the case with Persona 5 Royal? Well, it is kind of hard to say because the original dialogue wasn't really that bad. I mean, the grammar is good, it flows. It's just that some people took it differently, so they just want to improve that. So I can see why to some extent it kind of like leans toward to censorship because, like I said, Atlus been doing some censorship with their game, such as Catherine Full Body. Of course, one of the characters, they had to alter the dialogue a bit to be less offensive, and then the image of the character had to be modified because it showed a caretaker spanking a kid with her bare bottom exposed. And of course, in the US, something like that is, it's a definitely no-no. So that was a little bit of a tricky there. But like I said before, Neptunia Mark II versus Rebirth 2, that dialogue had been improved. You know what? And I'm going to give another more old school style that was improving dialogue, and that is Final Fantasy IV, or in the Super Nintendo in the US, Final Fantasy II, because I guess sequel, consistency reason, Nintendo had a different approach versus Sony. But the bottom line is the game is still the same. And the US version for the Super Nintendo for Final Fantasy IV or Final Fantasy II, and it's going to be confusing a bit, the dialogue were very kid-friendly because they want also kid to understand what the game is. But some of them were like just cheesy to a point like, this is like, did a kid write this? But then in a later version, the next version that was improved was Final Fantasy IV for the PlayStation 1. The dialogue was much better. And then in another version, which is the Game Boy Advance, I heard the dialogue once again got even much improved. And then the definitive version for the PlayStation Portable, Final Fantasy IV, the Collection Edition, which is like a remake, literally a remake, the dialogue once again was improved. I mean, to some extent, the game didn't really have anything offensive, but the bottom line is they just want to improve the dialogue. Like, if I can go back and improve the dialogue, I should do it. And I think to some extent, I know, again, I'm wishy-washy here, do apologize, but I think in the case of Persona 5 Royal, they just wanted to improve the dialogue. Like, if I can go back and fix it, I'll fix it. But again, because of what's happened in society since 2018, 2019, of course, now in 2020, some people get offensive really easily, so that's why most people think, it's censorship. Like I said, I think to some extent, but I'm also leaning towards of maybe they just want to improve the dialogue, make it more fluent more than before. Just saying there. I want to give my thoughts on the whole situation with Catherine Full Body. So for people who don't know what that game is, it was in a PS3, and of course it went to Steam. Set in the world of, I'm going to say, Persona or the Shin Megami Tensei. And it's a horror survival puzzle game. Yes, it is a puzzle game, but the story is interesting. I have it for the PS3. I try to play the game, but it's just, it's too hard for me. I'm old. So, of course, my friend actually is a fan of that game. And when I told him about it, yes, it's a him, about the game, is that there's going to be a PS4 version. My friend was happy. So anyway, that's what Catherine Full Body is. It's a PS4 version with all new doodads and stuff. A new story. And one of the new story is they introduced this particular character, and there was a lot of controversy in the West. And it's sadly to say, once again, it came from the righteous wannabe from this particular vile website who also complained about Mr. Gaming Watch 2-frame forward smash. And they were so upset that they took out their virtual torch and pitchfork once again for this one, demanding, oh, fire this person, remove this scene, this is not right, etc., 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 to a point of censorship. So what happened is there's been rumbling first in the beginning when the game came out first in Japan in February 2019. Remember, Atlus game, they're not worldwide release. So the Japanese version of Catherine Full Body was in February of 2019. And of course, worldwide is September of 2019. September, I think the 4th, if precisely. I don't know, I'm not really sure. It was last week, let's just say that. Whatever. So there was a lot of rumbling when the Japanese version came out. And there was an interview with IGN. And one of the people who's working on the localization for this game said, yeah, we heard the controversy and we might think about changing some of it to prevent any controversy. And the voice for this particular character also, Erin Fitzgerald, which is the former voice of Noir, but she's Chie in Persona 4 Golden. Good voice actor, yes, actress. But, of course, there was some story about her, whatever, not on displays. Anyway, she also did talk to Atlus from what her report saying that we need to kind of like change a bit of the story for this character. And the rumbling was, oh, will it be censored? Are we going to remove this story or whatever? And then when people heard about the word censorship, I know it's a dirty word, but sometimes it's necessary evil. I don't really agree with it also, whatever. There was some talk about it, and then later on, another talk about it is that, oh, no, we're not changing anything, but we're modifying it. And then, of course, finally, when the game came out, it finally revealed was it censored or not. Spoiler, it's not censored. The particular story is still there. However, the script and the end credit, they had to modify it. So what I'm going to do in this particular video, because it's going to be a mixture of recording that I did in the past, I just never put it up, you know me, and the new one. So I'm going to give 2 thoughts on this particular subject in Catherine Full Body. First, my thoughts of the story of, are they going to censor the game or not? And again, like I said, spoiler, they did not. And then I'm going to give my thoughts on what they actually did. What did Atlus do when the game finally came out outside of Japan? Like I said, I just mentioned it, and, spoilers. So once again, a bit of spoiler is no censorship. However, the script and the end credit name, not the video, but the name itself, had to be modified, not removed, but modified. But before I start this video, my thoughts on the controversy with Catherine Full Body, which is basically one of the character is somehow, how do I say this without offending people, trying to change its destiny. Let's just say that. This person's destiny. Let's go with that one. And in the original recording I did there, kind of gave my thoughts that apparently there was some indication from Atlus and Sega that basically they were considering doing some localization, changing it to not offend some people, i.e. censorship. However, there was a latest development that happened here, and apparently by the guy named Jonathan Stiebel, which is the communication manager of Sega of America and Atlus, because if you know, Atlus got bought by Sega. And this person basically said that there will not be any censorship in this game. It will be the same as the Japanese. However, there is still a catch, and that is that this character's dead name, I guess that's what they call it, has to be removed still for, I guess, to not offend someone. So I'm going to give my thoughts on that on the end of the original video. But yeah, like I said, apparently there been more development than happened, but when I did that recording at that time, what happened was I just decided to give my thoughts about it. So there you go. Because of course this game, it's going to come out somewhere in September 2019. So like I said in the beginning of the video, after my thoughts on Atlus considering, and that's a keyword, considering censoring this particular character and Catherine's full body in the US version because there was some indication by Aaron Fitzgerald and IGN, some hint. But according to Stable, which is the communication manager of Sega and Atlus, said no, there's no changes. It's going to happen, which is hopefully cross finger. I might not be a fan of it, but I said it before and I'm going to say it again. I do not like censorship. A lot of people probably don't like censorship. Whatever happened to the mentality of don't like it, don't support it, don't buy it, trying to convince people, but not in a way that basically whining about it. But the bottom line really is, yeah, you probably can convince people, but the bottom line is just, if you don't like it, don't buy it. I don't know what's so hard about that. I know it's not hard, but a lot of people can't do that anymore. So anyway, my thoughts about that one is that at least it's good to hear, to some extent, that there are no censorship in the Western release of Catherine's full body. However, this is not really concrete. The guy just said it. It's a communication manager. So, again, we don't know if it's true or not. But if it is true, at least it's props to Sega, to Atlus to say, okay, we hear you. But, again, they said, however, a bit of a spoiler in the credit scene, this character's dead name, that's what they call it. They're not going to post it because, again, they still don't want to offend anyone. However, the story, the content itself will not be changed. And I think that's good. That's good. At least they're not caving in. And that's the biggest problem, is that they're sort of caving into the people. Are they going to play your game or not? And that's the biggest problem here. It's a problem before, and now it's becoming worse and worse, is that the problem is, and this is true, sometimes it is that the people, like, oh, I demand change, they demand you're not supposed to do this. To some extent, people believe it's a minority. There's a proof to that? No, there is no proof, but it's just a belief. But the problem is, a lot of people have said this, a lot of editorial always said this, even when I used to listen to the IGN podcast, I know, yes, IGN, Greg Miller, when he used to work there, basically even said it, that a lot of these people who complain may be minor, and that people should just ignore them because they're not that big. However, they're always allowed this. They're going to be, hey, look at me, pay attention to me. Please notice me, senpai, look at me. And they're so loud that people get distracted and they look at those people. Basically, the equivalent I'm going to say is, if you're looking at in a field of grass and you see that brown poop in the middle, you're probably going to be fixated with that because it's something different. Even so, it's not a field of poop, it's a field of grass, very green grass, but you're going to be fixated with the poop because it's different, it's the loudest, it's basically, well, it's different. Let's just say that. And this is the problem with a lot of people when basically whine. I mean, I do it too. A lot of this, chances are it is maybe a minority, but they're the loudest. But something the case with, oh, we don't want this particular character because offend us or whatever, they're probably not a lot versus censorship. Censorship is becoming big. A lot of people are starting to complain, including myself. There have been a lot of YouTube videos, people giving their opinion about it. Heck, even bigger names who probably don't care about anime games, waifu games, sexual overized anime girls who looks like young, maybe they are, but who cares? They're even giving their thoughts about censorship. Nintendo Prime, Review Tech USA, Spawnwave, even Young Ye basically giving their opinion about it. They don't even care about like those Sennin Kagura type game, anime game, opportunity game. However, it is becoming big because what if they pull this crap, the censorship, with Cyberpunk 2077? And I said that before. This is a situation where someone's going to be damned if they do, damned if they don't. Why did I say that? Say they do censor Cyberpunk 2077 for the PlayStation 4. Then, of course, the creator of Cyberpunk say, wow, you guys just going to complain. And as I said before, stop being offended to something that's not being offended when people are not offended. Why are you going to be offended for that person if that person's not being offended? Then the creator's going to say, well, I guess Sony's a bunch of pussies. Excuse the language there. But if they ignore it and they just say, you know what, we're not going to censor Cyberpunk 2077, then they have a double standard. They look like xenophobic. Sony does not like anime games, which is basically what Sony, PlayStation, believe it or not, to some extent, is all about, is anime game. Oh, we don't want an anime game. Oh, we don't like girls over sexualized because that's inappropriate, yet gore, yet real American model video game characters, you name it, naked, it's okay, but if it's anime girls, no, it's not, because what, they're pretty, they're cute, while Cyberpunk 77, they're manly, again, xenophobic, double standard, you name it, whatever. So, again, yes, my thoughts about the Catherine full body is going to be censored. Apparently, it will not be. Yet, the dead name, yeah, they are. So, at least it's going to the right direction. The game's not going to be censored. Again, no proof to this, but the guy's just saying it. But if it's true, thumbs up. If it's not, Atlus, you're a moron for even doing it. And this will be my thoughts on something that's already happened in 2019. And yes, this has been long time already happened, but I just want to give my thoughts on the whole situation. Note, I was planning to do this during like summer of 2019 after my thoughts on Zanki Zero Last Resort. I think that's the name, which it got censored because according to Spike Chunsoft US, they said they didn't have a choice because PlayStation, and then they end up also parodying the game to the Steam, so the both versions are just the same. I was planning to do a follow-up on the whole Spike Chunsoft game being quote-unquote getting censored thanks to Sony's content policy. So a lot of this already happened, but I just want to give my thoughts on it. So with that, here are some of the games I want to give my thoughts of getting censored in the US or worldwide, and to some extent parodying it to other consoles such as Steam and Switch. Before I start this video, I just want to give a warning about basically, once again, if you look at the title and the thumbnail, it is about censorship. Once again, it's a follow-up on my thoughts on Zanki Zero Last Beginning, basically getting censored. Basically, the company said they didn't have a choice, either that they don't release it, and they work already the game so much to a point that if we don't release it, it was all down the drain. It's all in vain. I do understand that part, but at the same time, you know, everybody hates censorship. They hate politics in the video game. And this is what's happening since 2018, heck, probably 2017. It's just becoming worse and worse. We're going backwards again, like circa 1995. So basically in the video, I talked more about it, more games that Spike Chunsoft are going to have to censor. Again, whether it's Sony or ESRB, who knows. And also Atlus, a bit of a controversy because the righteous wannabe basically are mad that in Catherine Full Body, one of the characters basically was this, but somehow spoiler in an alternate ending. The main character went back in time and prevented. Again, I guess poking fun of this particular character because of you know why. And basically, my expression, my attitude there is very sour, I'm very angry. I might sound angry, I might be angry, maybe I am angry, but it is just so irritating, this one, that Atlus, to some extent, was a respectable company. Now, they're like, I mean, they did Persona and Megami Tensei, they were a good game, but now it's like, oh, look at them. Look at what's going on. Are they caving in? Because there's been inkling that they might have to change the situation in the West release, and of course, the dedicated hardcore fan, they're not too happy about it. So, again, to recap to this disclaimer is that it's more of a follow-up on Spike Chunsoft plus Atlus and Catherine Full Body, but my attitude, way sour, way angry, and if you don't want to hear that, then there are other videos I can provide, but it's basically, you could say, how my thoughts and feeling about the situation. So, watch the video play, if you want to listen to it, at your own risk. If you do, you're my hero. Good luck. So with that, let this vlog video play. This is going to be a follow-up on my thoughts on Zanki Zero Last Beginning. Sadly about censorship, because apparently Spike Chunsoft, well, they're getting affected by the censorship to some extent that they have to modify the game a la Circa 1995. So basically the gist of this one is that Zanki Zero Last Beginning, when it was released in the West, is for the PlayStation 4 and Steam, and sadly to say, both of them were censored. A lot of people speculate it's basically PlayStation Sony Interactive Entertainment basically saying you got to tone it down. Not so much with the ESRB. And I mean, there's no really proof to it. And I said it before, I'm going to say it again. If it's an ESRB, then there's no problem with that one. You just have to accept it. But it's just because of Sony's BS censorship. Then there was a choice there because they said in the Game Developer Conference 2019 was, oh, we didn't have a choice. We couldn't do anything about it. It's either that or not release the game, and we already were in the middle of developing, finishing the game. So basically, we did not have a choice. I mean, whatever, dude. I'm sorry for that, but you kind of get an idea why kind of like it's irking is that they said they didn't have a choice, but why also in the Steam? That's the thing. Unless Steam also said the same thing, then whatever. But yeah, this censorship, this era of sensitivity, it's really embarrassing in my opinion. Man, are we going back to 1995, which everything's offensive again? Man, you know, it's so sad, really. I mean, it's been in the past, but now it's getting bigger and bigger. This era, this 2019, this culture, it's embarrassing in my opinion about it. And what is this follow-up? It's more excited to say censorship by Spike Chunsoft. I guess maybe the reason again is we did not have a choice. We can't do anything about it. Okay, I'm going to stop with that one. I know I'm sounding assy, but you get an idea why I'm being assy about it. So PSA, don't do what I do there. But it's really very irking. And basically, what am I talking about? First, they also announced that Crystar is going to come outside of Japan, and there's some speculation that there might be some censorship because the hint in the trailer, in the Japanese version, the trailer was basically the intro of the game. In Japan, there's a scene when one of the character was doing a metamorphosis or a morph or change a la Sailor Moon, and you kind of see her buttocks to some extent. I mean, well, you know, it's one of those metamorphosis change type transition effect. And in the American version or the US, somehow they just cut it away, transition to her just being transformed to whatever it's supposed to be. So a lot of people might say, oh, another censorship because, oh, you're seeing a girl's butt. Oh my goodness, wow. So if it is, once again, censorship because of Sony, it's stupid. But the bigger one is, and this one, yeah. Oh, wait, no. The bigger one is another game they basically mention is, you know, a girl who chants love at the bound of this world. So it's a visual novel. Apparently, it's a remastered version or remake with better art design. It's a visual novel to some extent, but it's also a adventure game. And apparently, they have to do, quote unquote, some changes, not only in the PlayStation version, it's also on the Switch. On the PC, at least this time, they're learning is it's uncensored. It is what it's supposed to be. So you might say, wait, also Nintendo Switch? But I thought Nintendo Switch don't have a problem with uncensored things. It kind of makes it if it's only was censored on the PlayStation 4 because again, Sony right now is being ass backward. So, again, I'm going to say this before, I'm going to say it again. If it was the ESRB, then there's no problem with it. We can't do anything about it. A lot of people have said that this game, to some extent, well, apparently it could possibly go to an AO. That's why it might be the ESRB that basically tell them they got to tone it down to an M-rated or you can't release the game on the console because the minute it's an AO rating, you can't put in a console. That's been a policy that's been since, you know, the old days. So let's just say ever since the PS2 or PS3 era, something like that. So, but if it's just Sony and they don't they just decide to be parody because they're too lazy to, you know, do some changes, then that's kind of assy again with Spike Chunsoft. If it's Sony's policy BS crap again, I mean, it's stupid. And again, it's because society today, it's just people are so weak. A lot of these righteous wannabes basically think they're all right. What's best for the culture is like, if you don't like it, just don't support it. Whatever happened to that? Nope. You got to ruin for everyone because you're not happy. Everyone should not be happy because you guys are a bunch of entitled, weakling, stupid. I'm sorry. I'm really getting irritated with this censor politics thing, and I'm trying not to. I am trying not to go there, but it's happening now. It's like because of this Oh my god. So again, no one knows, but yes, it is going to be censored on the console version. Again, if it's an ESRB, then there's nothing wrong with it. Can't be helped. But if it's just because of Sony and they want to be parodied, then that's a problem there. And probably before I move on, another game is A1, the Somniat Files. So apparently the game was supposed to come out in the summer, and now it's going September. A lot of people say the delay might be censorship. Again, who knows? Maybe not, because even Spike Chunsoft in Japan basically did say that it was also delayed. So I don't know. Maybe if it is censorship, again, BS suck. But that's what we're living right now. All right, a little bit update on the Somnium Files. And interesting enough, according to Spike Chunsoft, that the game itself will not be any modification than its Japanese release. It's in its original form, which is a good thing. And they're all the same in all platforms, so that's a good thing there. Yes, in that video I basically said was, I don't know whether it's going to be censorship or not because of the delay, but nope, it was delayed because they needed more time for quality issues. And yes, the game is multi-platform and it's not censored there. The gaming culture, it sucks. We're a bunch of wussies. It's really sad. So, before I close this, another one I want to give my thoughts on is Atlus and their latest game, Catherine Full Body. So, I'm not really a fan of Catherine. I have it for the PS3. I did play the game. I'm not the puzzle horror. It's not for me. I'll try playing it, but it was just it's not fun for me. I'm sorry. So there is a new version that came out, or it was already out in Japan, February 14, 2019, and the controversy there was one of the characters basically is how do I say this without sounding like really very political? Let's just say this person had a gender change. Let's just say that this character used to be a male and then became a female. And basically that wasn't the problem there. I mean, that's, hey, I have no problem with those, if you want, hey, your decision, your destiny, your life. I got no problem with that. But apparently here's a spoiler part, so beware. Is that one of the ending, which is not even a canon ending from what I heard. There's multiple ending in this game, but there's a canon and not really canon. Again, multiple ending, not a canon. Maybe it's a joke ending. I don't know, because I don't really. I couldn't even finish Catherine for the PS3. So with that said, is that one of the ending was supposed to be that the main character. I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to be spoiler there. Is it went back in time and prevent this character to become what the character is supposed to be in the game. And the righteous wannabe was not happy about it. And on the end credit, they didn't like the name of what's going on. And it was weird. It was just dumb. But of course, what happened was IGN had a preview. And apparently they got some word that Atlus of USA basically are considering it, changing it, the particular incident, to a point that it's not even going to be in the US version, or they're going to alter it to basically not mention or acknowledge it. I don't know the whole. I don't know the whole story, but the bottom line is the game's going to get censored because the righteous wannabe were offended because of what happened there. And even so, the sad part here is that, yes, one of the voice actress by the name of Erin Fitzgerald. If you don't know who she is, she voiced Chie on Persona 4 Golden and so on. She was also the voice of Noir on the video game. She was also in the anime also, but at one point, of course, in the case with Noir, she got booted. So Erica Mendez, I think she's a better voice for Noir, in my opinion, took over, but that's a different story there. She voiced that character that, well, I'm not going to say the name, but the character that used to be a guy that becomes a girl. And she was posting stuff on Twitter, and she didn't like it to some extent, from what I heard. And she said she was talking to the localization team of Atlus, hopefully to do some modification. And also because, she just didn't like it. whatever. But the thing is, because of IGN's preview of Catherine Full Body, they said that they might alter this particular ending or this situation. I call it censorship BS. So again, here's the deal. If Atlus actually goes with it and they do change it, I'm sorry to say, Atlus, you're a flipping moron. You're flipping stupid for doing it, because you're catering to the less who people don't really give a care about, probably the game not much. Maybe it's done one or two. I agree with a lot of the masses said. You're dedicated, you're hardcore Atlus fans who wanted to buy this game. They were supporting you, supporting the Atlus brand, the Persona brand, because believe it or not, well, Catherine is sort of part of the Shin Megami Tensei whole franchise to some extent. I know it's weird, but yeah, you're gonna piss them off more. Excuse the language. You're gonna make them more upset than those righteous wannabes. I say ignore it. Just stick to what it is, and don't compromise what the creator done. You know, was there a reason that the guy did it? I don't know. Maybe there was a reason. Maybe not. Who cares? Are they going to play your game? Your fans are the ones going to play your game. They're going to give you your freaking $60, $70, $80 if you leave the game untainted, uncensored. You do this, Atlus. If you decide to pull this shit, excuse the language, just to make the righteous want to be happy, you just shot yourself in the foot. People are not going to buy your game. Nobody likes politics in their games. Yeah, but we have no choice. Like, what? The ESRB? If the ESRB didn't have a problem with it, why do you guys have a problem, for crying out loud? I mean, oh my gosh, apologies, but this is just getting irritating to some extent. So, again, my thoughts about it. It's bullshit, excuse the language, but you know it is. So, right now, it's not really been confirmed, but there are a lot of speculation that it might be confirmed. Right now, according to IGN, it's a preview that they're just hearing talks from Atlus representative that said they might consider it. Again, they just want to see what's going on. But in my opinion, if they do it, they just shot themselves in the foot. Yeah, guess what? Your sales for it, they're not going to be good. I'm telling you that now. Like, word to the wise. Just leave it to us what it is. If Sony luckily don't have a problem with this, and it's just because of some righteous wannabe, then you guys are an idiot. I'm sorry to say. You guys are an idiot about it. So, yeah, I mean, it is unfortunate that Atlus USA, they're getting a lot of, let's just say, attack, because it's beside from Catherine Full Body, Persona 5R, the Royal, the latest character, because she was wearing a gymnastic uniform, didn't like that. Oh, we can see her thigh. Oh, shut up! God, that's so stupid. Excuse me, but it was irritating there. And Spike Chunsoft just dropping the ball left and right with this censorship because, what? We did not have a choice. Okay. Oh, man. Yeah, that's my thoughts about it. So, but I'm just going to end it by saying, censorship sucks. This culture right now, we're like weak people, so sensitive of everything. Kind of unfortunate. I hope it changed next year or so on. Just want to do an epilogue on this one. That, yes, you kind of notice my expression, my attitude are kind of sour there. I do apologize in that one. However, just that this is just starting to irritate me also. I mean, am I a fan of Spike Chunsoft, some of their games? Well, I have some of the games. Maybe in the long run, I really want to try this game that they offer, but I can't really support it when there's always a lot of censorship because they say they don't have a choice. Atlus now with full body, Catherine Full Body. Again, that's only rumor. Like I said, it's right now. They're just thinking about it. They're not saying that they're going to do it, but it is sort of leaning towards to it. And again, in the case with Erin Fitzgerald, her position about it, yeah. Kind of wasn't wise for her to give her position or opinion about the situation, but that was probably not a good idea. And again, yeah, so, I mean, yeah, so I do apologize my attitude there, my expression, but it was really just starting to irritate me so bad that, oh my gosh, it's just my head starting to hurt. I mean, from Devil May Cry 5 censorship, which they fixed that, which is good. Thank you, Capcom. At least you did the right thing. Sony probably said, okay, that was dumb. But still, some of it's a lot of Japanese niche game. I know, because the problem is it's a niche game. Not a lot of people probably going to buy them. And that's the whole point, that you want to have as many fans as you have, but by censoring them, it's dumb. Right now, they're not thinking straight, and they've done this before. Yes, I'm going to give my thoughts about the history about their policies. A lot of time there is sort of the reason why they're doing it, but at the same time, it doesn't always work. And this is one of the things that's probably not going to work in the long run. And when push comes to shove, they're going to say, you know what, it's not going to work. We're going to retract it. We're going to resent it. Nintendo did the same thing in the past in 2016, and they reversed it because they just basically realized, yes, it's not working there. So, yeah, so again, this epilogue, I do apologize for my attitude and expression there. But it's just really just, you get the idea there. So hopefully I won't have to do this again to another video. But yeah, it's just left and right. Spike Chunsoft been censoring game. It's like a Circa 1995, and now Atlus, they're being attacked. So now they sound like they might be caving in to them, and nobody likes that censorship. It's just a lot of times it's just unnecessary. It's a fictional game. It's not real. It doesn't represent the real thing. I don't know why people are so bothered with that. Video games supposed to be fantasy. You get out of reality because you hate reality, you hate life for whatever reason. Yeah, it is what it is. So, yeah. This is going to be another follow-up, or let's just say part 4 on... Okay, you know what I'm going to call it? Spike Chunsoft USA versus Sony's content policy. So, if you've been following me on this particular topic, yes, it's basically Spike Chunsoft had some sort of controversy, of course, with Sony, aka Soyny, of course, of their new censorship policy that started on July of 2018. And Zanki's Zero Last Beginning was one of the games that got censored. And I was also saying that, will other games going to be censored? And unfortunately, yes. And it has been announced from the Anime Expo 2019. And also, there was some follow-up on this. I'm going to give my thoughts about it. That Spike Chunsoft did announce some games that's going to come out on the PlayStation 4, Switch, and Steam. And of course, if you think about PlayStation 4, you think about Soyny, and if you think about them, of course, is the censorship. And yes, sadly to say, some of their game did get censored, and that's really sucking. I want to give my thoughts about it, what they are, does it really hurt or not? Are we going back again to 1995, where over-sexualized things is so much offensive than gore? Because I get maybe gore is fantasy, it's not real, but overly sexualized girls, especially anime, because there's a reason why anime was a rarity during the 90s, because the culture wasn't yet acceptable. Are we going back there? Is this a rewind to 1995? Who knows? Like I said, we're now in the age of people are very sensitive, especially that particular website, and that sadly enough, a lot of the company are getting influenced and getting affected, but that's a different story there. But before I start, I want to give my thoughts about Toonami. Basically finally aired Food War, and of course I had a feeling there was something that they can't show and can show, and I'll explain that why. And of course, no surprise that Crystar is censored. And not the game itself, apparently. The game itself is not censored, but the intro is censored. 0.5 seconds of the clip will be removed, and what it is the main character showing her buttocks. They removed it in the Western release, the PlayStation 4 version of Crystar, which is stupid. Are you serious that you're going to censor that? We're in 2019, you're censoring. I mean, wow, what's next? God of War, the lack of boob and butts? Oh, wait. They kind of did that with God of War, the reboot, but that's a different story. And they kind of get away with it. There wasn't really no point to it. But the bottom line is, Crystar, yes, there is censorship. It is a very minor, which is very stupid. You're wasting developing time. You're wasting Spike Chunsoft development money to do something like that. Like, are you serious? Like, that's so stupid. But yeah, they censor 0.5 because during the transformation, you see her buttocks, and oh my gosh, it's a teenager showing her buttocks. Like, oh my gosh, so stupid. You gotta be kidding me. I know. And another bad problem, but with that, I'll see you guys later.